said I'm gonna get at it. You know I'm gonna get it fixing me up. I'm gonna get at it.
Peace. So we are back with another video, and I told y'all we were going to be speaking, I'm going to be speaking about the power of the tongue, speaking about combativeness and being argumentative. So I know I'm late, but it took me a while, just finishing up finals for school and stuff like that. But that's a whole other thing. Nevertheless, moving right along. When it comes to being argumentative and combative, a lot of times, I wrote down 3 points. A lot of times that comes from insecurity, emotional immaturity, and wanting to maintain control. So I'm just go through the 3 points. All right. And just so you know, I'm speaking from personal experience, but I'm also speaking from what I've seen and observed in other females as well. So, and these sort of behaviors too, like noticing when someone is insecure or trying to maintain control in a conversation, and when they're functioning out of emotional immaturity, those things are noticeable. They're pretty obvious to see when that's happening. I think that anybody can discern and see, if they have the eyes to see, they can see that sort of thing in other females. But starting with the insecurity. So a lot of times, females, I notice that they're combative and argumentative when they're insecure. And a person who is not insecure don't argue. They don't feel like they have something to lose. So they have to keep talking. They have to keep coming back with another argument, with another point. But someone who is insecure, they're not secure in themselves. They feel like if they lose what they deem in their head as a fight, or they lose the argument, that it takes away from who they think they are, or who they want to project themselves to be, or portray themselves to be, I should say. And then emotional immaturity. Okay, so that, I noticed that comes out when, that just comes out when you're sharing like thoughts based on illogical emotions. So thoughts that are not based in reality. And you haven't, I've noticed that females, they haven't processed their emotions in the moment, because of course you're in the moment. So, and a lot of times you have to have the feeling, or will have the, I'll include myself too, but I don't, at this point in my growth, I'm not combative and argumentative. But when I was, I would just have like a feeling or emotion, and then I would just immediately share, the thought that triggered the emotion, or the thought that followed the emotion. And I would just say that. And I do think about Luke 6:45. The good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings out that which is good, and the evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings out that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. So a lot of times, like when you're in your like free state, like when you're just speaking freely, a lot of times, and you're being real, a lot of times, like the abundance of the heart is speaking. So how you truly, your real feelings are. People say your real feelings is coming out. Your real thoughts and feelings is coming out. So when you are in your emotions and you're feeling and you're just talking freely with no filter, you kind of get an idea of like what the person is thinking. So like, and I've noticed like a lot of the thoughts that I would have in those moments didn't make any sense at all. But because I didn't process the emotions and get to the bottom of it, they weren't resolved, or they're not done away with. They're just still there. And then you notice that the same thoughts, they would keep coming in loop. And I've heard men share like, oh, she keeps bringing up the same thing over and over and over again. It's like a loop. Like this thought is just cycling a loop, never being processed. So this woman keeps bringing up the same issue over and over and over again. But anyways, that's another story. So the third one is control, letting go of ego. So when people say ego, they don't really seem to ever explain what that means. So ego is our history. It's all of the history of ourselves and who we think we are, what we generated, that our persona and facade and personality to be, that we want to project out into the world, the things that we think make us who we are. And so when it comes to like letting go of that ego, letting go of who you think you are or what you think you have to be in a moment, a lot of times that person is trying to avoid what they may look like, being humbled. And so they try to females, they try to maintain this facade like they're smart. And I've seen like different cases where a man had to humble a woman before, and some they do like, okay, they just completely like, eventually they start off like going back and forth. But when there was a man that's like strong and he's like, no, I'm gonna teach you, and that woman realized like, okay, I should probably stop talking. This man is obviously smarter than me, so I'm gonna listen. Then you have those sisters that do eventually catch them like, I'm listening now. You got my full attention. Like you wisened up in the moment, which is good. But then you have some that just keep like, they just standing firm on what a rocky foundation. That's how you standing on a rocky foundation, because only an insecure person feels the need to go back and forth with someone and have to fight. Like when you know your identity, you know who you are, you can listen to another person share without feeling the need to go back and forth with them, because then you realize it's no point. It's no point in doing that unless you just like to argue. You just like to have those. Yeah, you just like to argue and go back and forth and debate with people. So, but yeah, I was gonna also share like being humble requires someone to surrender, but a lot of times females don't want to let go of that control because they don't know what they would look like when they just completely surrender. Like that's outside of their box, outside of who they want to project themselves to be, this cover, this facade, and what they want to show. It's like, no, I gotta maintain this because this is what I think I am and who I am, and if I break down, that's going to make me look, whatever fears and whatever thoughts come to that person, that's going to make me look dumb, or that's going to make me look stupid, or that's going to make me look like, I'm not this educated, whatever thought that comes to mind. They don't want to humble themselves and just admit like, hey, there's always somebody smarter. There's always somebody further along and further ahead. But yeah, so kind of get into some solutions. What I found helped me. I just got to a certain point. For one, I just realized there was no point. Like when someone is teaching you and telling you something, there's no point to go back and forth, because what are you trying to gain out of that? And just getting out of desiring and wanting to argue. I liked to go back and forth and kind of have that banter, but I think that it's a waste of time. When I came to the realization that it was a waste of time, and it's not really, it's a distraction from goals and other and more important things that I need to focus on. So that's one. But then also trusting and respecting the person that's speaking to you. So if you trust the person and what they're teaching you, what they're saying, is like, you trust the person. I just lost my train of thought, sorry. You trust that they have your best interest at heart. So there's no reason to go back and forth, because the person's trying to help, they're trying to teach you something, they don't have ill intent. So before you think about like going back and forth and arguing and saying like, oh no, dude, I don't agree with that. It's like, okay, is the person saying that to hurt you? If not, then just you don't need to. And even if the person is saying something to hurt you, you still don't necessarily need to go back and forth with someone and prove something, because like I was saying, like if you know your identity, you know who you are, and you're secure, you don't feel the need to go back and forth with somebody who's foolish. So And then also respecting the person. So that also helped with not being argumentative and combative. Respecting the person. Okay? Respect means see the source. And that's what I learned from my master. So, okay. Chief, yeah, okay. We quote proper names around here. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, so respect means go back and see the source. So look again, you turn around, you look again, you see Yah in that person. So you respect what they're saying because you're like, I know the creator is shining through. And sometimes it's just like a feeling, like I don't want to say a feeling like that, but sometimes it's like, people say it's a vibe, or you just get a good feeling from somebody, they got good energy, stuff like that. I can sense, like there's times where it's like, it doesn't matter who's speaking. When a person has the creator flowing through them and they have Yah flowing through them, have you ever just kind of just sit back like, respect, like I felt what you were saying. It was the creator flowing through you in that moment. And I respect that, and yeah, it's like I respect that person enough to listen because what's flowing through them, I keep knocking this thing over. What's flowing through them is truth. And you recognize that spirit. Because sometimes that spirit flows through you, and it flows through people who are highly respected amongst their community. So, yeah. But I do want to go back and say that none of those solutions or none of that I said would even help if you're just a person that like to argue and you're just a person who don't want to humble themselves to somebody else for whatever reason. I was just about to say, you think you all that in the bag of chips? You just think but no, you think you haughty. You too high and mighty. You can't come down. You can't humble yourself. You don't respect the other person to be able to be like, I feel you. Like, I see that truth flowing through you. All right. I feel what you're saying. You don't have enough respect for that person to do that. So I can go on and on about this one, but I won't. So that's the end of this live. That's the end of this video. And we'll be back. I'll be back. Next topic is going to be, I disagree, but who asked you? I might change that title because it's kind of connected to what I just spoke about. But I'll see. Alright, everyone. Peace. Shalom. Enjoy your evening.
I'm gonna get it fixing me upset. I'm gonna get at it. I'm gonna get it fixing me up. I'm gonna get